Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second part of this amazing new episode of sharing a session that I do with my clients. Again, thank you so much to Crystal for sharing all this. This is very deep and very intimate. So, in this second part of the session, you are going to hear me connect to another loved one of hers, as well as getting a glimpse of what it's like when we get a pre life planning session coming through. And that is when I'm able to connect and see, and it comes through of what it's like in our soul form when we're planning our lifetimes, which that does come through in her session, as well as her validations. And you hear from Crystal's side of what she had experienced, at least during that session and in that moment. And it's very raw. And thank you. Enjoy. Okay, we're shifting because someone else is coming in. Sorry. So it's a big shift. Oh, it's a big shift. Okay. Here. To me, this feels male. This feels younger. So it wouldn't have been, this person wouldn't have lived to old age. They're coming in a little bit younger. What's interesting, I see this person riding a bike. I keep seeing a bike. So I don't know if this person rode a bike a lot. This does feel like I want to say or describe him in some way as if he was like a lost soul. In that, like just having a really hard time finding and living life. Like we have a very hard time with that, to the point where like it's interesting. So this does feel like he would have had a lot of substance related issues. This feels, I don't know why I keep seeing bikes. I don't know if he just rode his bike a lot because maybe he didn't have a car and that was only his only mode of transportation, or if that's just what he did. This bike is important. I have to mention the bike. Does this make sense to you?
Kind of.
Okay, so let me keep going. Let me see what else I get. Okay. Um, okay. Oh, yeah. Something about there was a period of time you guys had together. You guys knew each other. I can't place like what type of relationship this is. This could have been like a friendship. Um, I'm not sure the relationship, but let me keep going here. What he's bringing here. Okay. I know his message, that's for sure, but I want to make sure I'm bringing enough detail for you to know to validate who this is for you. Okay. I'm asking him to bring in some more detail, but this message is getting higher. So I'm going to do the message first, and then maybe he'll bring in some more detail because he wants this message to come through. Because he's saying, because of the way he lived life, he, again, there was something about it, he couldn't wrap his head around it. It was how he was brought up, it is the situations he was in. It's just the same perpetuating things over and over again. That's what he's saying. It's just no matter how hard he tried or whatever he did, it was the same things over again, where it was just fight or flight. That was his whole life, was fight or flight. It was
Yep.
survival. That's all it was. And so, yes, substances was his way out. It was his only way to have peace for a minute because everything just kept coming at him 100 miles an hour. But the message that he wants to give, oh my gosh, chills everywhere. Oh, Crystal, this is very specific to you. Even though you may not know this or understand this, he wants to tell you you were someone who was actually grounding in his life. You were the only person, one of the very only people, like he's saying, one of the very, very few only people in his entire life that showed him some strength and compassion, or showed him what that looked like, because he did not see that anywhere else in his life.
Percent. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay. Because that message, he's like, just say the message, she'll know. And that's why I'm like, I couldn't get out of that. I had to say the message. He said, I feel like he's saying here too, as if he's encouraging you, Crystal. He's like, you have such this beautiful power and energy inside of you, and you question it all the time. All the time. He's like, she questions it and she talks about, or in her mind, like as if, what am I doing? Why don't these people get me? I'm doing things wrong. I'm not good enough. Like, I just, how am I just not? It's as if you know you have this beautiful, good heart,
Yep.
but you keep wondering why people don't see it or why it's so hard. And he's like, mm-mm, you keep doing you, Crystal.
Yep.
He's like,
Here's the way.
because he's like, there's no way you could have saved my life because it was more than that. It was way more than that. He said, but you were one of the only people that brought me some peace in my life. And that was powerful because he had.
He never had it. Yep.
I feel a lot of emotion coming from him right now. And this is huge because it's not just coming from him. This is like the energy in the background there, Crystal. This is like coming from higher self. This is a big piece. Okay. Yep. Crystal, you are doing exactly what you are meant to do. And this is big because now I feel this going into pre-planning. Okay. This is beautiful. I love when we go pre-planning. Okay. Okay. Let me explain this. Going into a pre-planning session, let's go into the pieces. Okay. Meaning of life, right? We are first and foremost souls here having a human experience, not the
Yep.
other way around.
Yep.
We are here as souls here to evolve. We choose to come here.
Yep.
We know it's going to be tough. That's the whole reason. This is like advanced class. When we are in our soul self, when we are home, when we are where we are outside of this human experience, we are at peace. And
Right.
there are no secrets because there's no shame, there's no guilt. We have all lived, we've all done things that we've all had to evolve from. Every single one of us have lived lifetimes where we have done the worst of the worst. And
Right.
I believe that those are the young souls that are learning to understand and how to survive being human, right?
Right.
So we spend this time on the other side, and we have this beautiful understanding of what's happening, of who we are and what's going on, right? Everything's peace. But in order to evolve, even on the other side, we have to understand yin and yang. We need to not just read about things in a book. Because again, think about chemistry. You can read formulas and try to understand chemistry in a book, and it makes zero sense, right? No sense. You have to do the experiments to fully understand it. And that's why we come here. We need to feel it. It's the emotion, it's the lessons, it's the hardness, and it's the soft stuff. It is somehow trying to find the balance of all of that. Okay. And before we decide to come in, because we know what we need to do, we go into these pre-planning sessions. Okay. This is just what I call it. It could be called anything. When we go into this time and the way that I see it, I love to describe this because have you ever heard of the Akashic records?
Yes.
Okay, love it. So in my mind's eye, when I see the Akashic records, it's this giant building like the Capitol building or one of the biggest libraries in the world, but this one is made of gold. And you go up into these huge steps, and it is in the Akashic record, again, memory, everything that has been said, done, or thought of from past, present, future, ever is in the Akashic records. But I always see first floor, there's this hallway, infinite hallway. And in this hallway, there are rooms here. And this is where we do our pre-planning sessions. When I go into these rooms, it's as if the way that I see it, we have one giant like whiteboard, right? So this is kind of, it's a whiteboard, but we don't write on it. It happens with thought. And it's of a
Yep.
technology I could never explain. And on it, we can put our timelines, and it has to do with like astrology and stars. There's so many factors that I can't even wrap my brain around. And then on another wall to the side, I see it like like a mirror or a glass, like a two-way glass. And on the other side of that is our team, right? This is our soul team. This is our soul family. This are the ones that we call our soul mates. These are the people we have the biggest connections with lives, those people that come in even for a moment and change our lives completely, right? That's our soul
Mhm.
family. And then we are standing in there with our guide, our main guide. He's been through every lifetime with us. This person, I say he, I don't know, it could be she, it could be they, right? So they don't really have a body anyway, but they've already been through the human experience and they've evolved. So they go in and they help us go through them. When we're going through these moments, there's no secrets, and we don't say it in shame secrets. You know what? I am still working on trying to find self-love. I've had a really hard time with this in so many lifetimes. It's really hard to the point where I will put shame on other people, where I've abused other people, whatever it may be. I have a really hard time with this. And so, and we talk about it and it's real. And it's like, okay, I need to create a lifetime where it sets me up into certain circumstances where I can work on this.
Right.
And as we're talking about it and we are working on these roles or what's happening in our planning, then we have our soul family that's watching because they're doing theirs too, right?
Hmm.
And they hear us as we are planning certain pieces, and one will come in and you know what? I could play the role as your mom in this because your lessons are tied with mine because they might be
Hmm.
opposite, they might be the same, and or it could be a very evolved being family being that's coming in and just like, I'm going to play that role for you. It's an awful role, but I love you enough that I'm going to do it for you because I know at the end you're going to be strong enough and you need this. And no one here wants to do that because that's a really hard lesson to learn. And so now I'm coming in here specifically for you, right? And so you're planning. I can see this and I can feel this. And I should mention on the other side of the board, there's actually I always see we see the old courtroom like gates, right? So
Yeah.
those old courtroom, right? The wooden
Yeah.
ones. And on the other side of that is a table. And it's actually, I see this as some very enlightened beings. They all sit there and I call it the council, but they're watching and they're just listening and it's kind of taking it all in. They do it for everybody. You just take it all in. Anyway, I see yours coming up and this is really big. And the reason why, because this is more of a message coming from your guide, part of coming from your pre-planning session. And what's interesting in this part of the session that I'm experiencing, that I'm seeing that he's bringing focus on, while you're planning your lifetime, you're in a moment where you're like half into your like wearing the form that you're turning into now, like the personality and who you are. It's like you're half in form and half in your light self. It's like you're trying to get used to that skin or that look.
Hmm.
And you're in the middle of this really important conversation because I'm trying to find it. You were worried because of past lives. You have tried other past lives. Some you've done very well in. I see very successful ones where you made it and you were this very inspirational person in some way, whether you were big in the community or you were, I see you were probably an author once. I see this is boo, I got chills everywhere. You were like this beautiful author and people read all about the things that you wrote about. This was important. This was big and beautiful. But then you had a lot of others where it didn't go so well. I see some where you wound up on the streets in poverty, really bad. Um, I've seen some where you have gone really far and then you would bounce back and find your way back again. And you were really worried about going so far down, about taking other people with you when you would go down into your low states. And so I feel your guide coming into this moment, and it's like you have this theme going on in this session, Crystal, and he's trying to back it up. I keep saying he because that's just what keeps coming up for your main guide. Backing on what this other gentleman that came in to talk to you, you are doing beautifully. They are telling you you are exactly on the path that you chose. And it's a hard one. And it's difficult to let go. And it's difficult to find yourself and have faith in yourself and get grounded and know that you are strong enough and worthy enough to speak your truth. That is such a huge lesson to you. It's one of your main lessons is to find your strength. So it is not going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. And that's why you keep having those moments. And that's why it's been a roller coaster. You have these beautiful highs where you find yourself and you're feeling fantastic. And then you go, and then something happens, whether you feel a judgment or something happens and it triggers you. And all of
Yep.
a sudden, we go right back.
Exactly.
And then we crash down in that roller coaster and we're back at the bottom again. And
Yep.
then we have to go in our shell. And this is usually where depression hits in and we have a really hard time getting out. And that's what he's showing that you have really hard time getting back out again. And
Yep.
it's a very slow climb. It's as if you try going up and it comes back down.
Yep.
Ugh. and you keep going back up and you keep trying.
Yep.
But eventually, you always do.
Always. Yep.
You always do. Because your intuition is insanely strong, because your
Yep.
gut tells you you are not allowed to quit.
Yep.
And your gut is your higher self telling you, get up, Crystal.
Yep.
This is not the end. This is not where we give up.
Yep.
It is lonely and it is hard, but it doesn't have to be. I can tell you right now, and I can feel it, and they're saying that your fear blinds you.
Yep.
Your fear blinds you from the community and the people that are meant to make you blossom.
Yep.
And the hardest part for you, and the key to that, is finding your worthiness, that you are worthy to have that you are worthy to have that beautiful community, because you give so much, Crystal. You are a healer and you give and you love hard.
Yep.
But you have been taught through your life experience that we don't receive, that receiving is selfish, or that there's something about it, there's a safety factor, or there's something there that I don't receive. There's an imbalance there in some way that was
Yep.
created, and it feels like it came from childhood,
Yep.
growing up, that receiving.
Yep. I validate that.
Um, I'm going to take this moment and we are going to open this up. I know we went really far, but there was a lot coming through for you. So in this moment, we can talk about anything you want to. You can ask questions and give details as you choose.
Well, the woman that came through, I believe, is my grandmother.
Okay.
She never spoke up for herself. She let people ride over her whole life.
Mhm.
It was something that was taught that the women were to be quiet and to take whatever the men gave us. And so the men ruled our world. We were molested most of our lives. It was a very big thing in our family. I stopped it. I would not let my children get molested by this man. I'll tell you that my daughters, my son, they could go over and stay the night, but I stayed with them. I
Mhm.
made that very clear that we were not going to let that happen to my babies, and it stopped. My children are the only one in the family that were not molested by this man before he died. Very big thing. I felt very proud of that. We still don't speak on it, but I don't speak to my family anymore.
Mhm.
I have blocked them out because it was very negative. They're they feed the negativity. They feed the you're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're not worthy to get out of this. You're not worthy to write a book. You're not worthy to speak on life, and the things that you know inside you that to be true are wrong. And so I disconnected myself and my children from it. I'm telling you, my children's life has blossomed since then. So I know it was the right choice. It's been a long, hard journey because it's been very lonely. I don't have friends. I don't have boyfriends. The man that came through was actually an ex-boyfriend of mine. I
Okay.
actually loved him for exactly who he was. I never judged him. I never told him he needed to change. He ended up dying in my arms. He was an alcoholic since the age of 12. So his mama pushed him out the door. Pretty much, he became a gang member. I didn't care what he did in his past life or who he was. I knew the heart he had, and it was very big. And he loved everybody around him. He cared for the elderly, he cared for the single parent down the road. And I seen that part of him and I loved that part of him and I let everything else go. And I know that's why he came through, is because nobody's ever loved him like that. Nobody's ever just loved him for him and didn't care about what he had been through and the things that he has done. That's that big heart of mine. I love the love. I just love to love. I love to love people. I love to love things and places and just we got a big heart.
Yes,
So
you do.
those are the validations there. As of right now, I can feel my low. I'm back at a low right now. I've gotten myself out of a lot of bad things and stopped doing
Mhm.
drugs and alcohol, and I'm eating better and taking better care of myself. And then I get Lyme disease. I just found out like 2 days ago. I wondered why my body was hurting so bad, and I haven't been able to really focus on meditating. And it's debilitating right now. Like it hurts me so bad right now that I can't do the things that I want to do. But I'm
Mhm.
still working, still taking care of myself, still taking care of my children. My children are seeing me fight this. It's not my stopping point. I will beat it. I am taking the antibiotics like they told me to take. But there's certain things that stop you. And it's like the world's trying to say, nope, you got to stop right here. And this is it. This is all you got. And it's like, no, I know there's more. And I'm not going to let you stop me. but it hurts and it's lonely. And yes, trying to find my voice and speak on it has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It feels like, yeah, I've been here before and I've done it before. But for some reason, this just seems so much bigger and I can't find it. It stops right there every time. My throat chakra is just, I can't beat it. And I haven't been able to find out why. Whether it's like my grandmother said, coming through today is a big eye opener for me. A lot of it I do hold on from past and what they've done, and that my family's been that drug, alcohol abusing type family. I don't want to be that person. So I've
Yeah.
stopped myself. And it's been a long, hard road to go by yourself to do that. None of them went to rehab. I haven't been anything. I just cold turkeyed myself and decided to stop. And it's been hard. And it's been a long, lonely road. But I got my nice little country house that I asked and I manifested. And I know it works because I'm here and I'm living it. So there's some blessings in between there. I told him, I said, give me a fixer up here, something I can make my own. 3 to 4 days later, after being homeless, literally, this is just weeks ago, and I got my own home. I got 20 acres in the country, something that I've been wanting for years. So I know it's true, and I know it's there, and I know it all to be true because my intuition tells me where to go, and
Yeah.
I listen more, and I'm playing tricks with them, and I play the parking lot theory and let's see if I can get my parking spot right up front because I know I deserve it type of thing. So yeah, I play the little tricks and I do the little tricks and I do the little things and it works for me. And so I know I'm made here and I know I'm meant for more and I know I'm doing the right thing right now. I just know I haven't found my place yet. And I'm seeking it. And maybe I have. Maybe I've pushed it away and I'm bringing it back. But I'm more open now than I was a week ago. I'm more open now than I was a month ago. So it's that receiving. I've got to learn to receive the
Oh,
love just as much as I push out there.
right. Crystal, again, I felt it. You are that cycle breaker. And you've already been doing it.
Yeah.
That's incredible. No wonder your grandma came through and was like, oh, because does come through adoring as if you're doing it. And we're taking all of this stuff away. Everything's
Yep.
being taken away from you, and you're going to be dusted clean
Slowly but
so that you
surely.
can stand up for yourself. Um,
Yep.
it is powerful to hear. And I want to bring validation for you to understand from your story and what you're coming through to go through a self healing journey. That is incredible. And where you are right now, it's hard, but it is still a beautiful place
Yep.
because you are talking about this in a positive way. And I have
Yep.
a feeling, though, if you look at your past self going through this moment, how would you have dealt with it before?
Not very well.
You are making progress. This is
Yep.
huge, not just a little bit, this is massive. So even though you feel you're in this low place, it is still much higher than your lows before.
Yep.
And that's how I've always said this on healing. And I just want you to see that and find that perspective and be proud of yourself. That is amazing, Crystal. That as we are healing and you go through these roller coasters, yes, and we go through these highs and these lows, but the higher, more we keep healing ourselves, our lows don't go as deep as they used to. They
Yeah.
still go low and it's horrible.
Ew,
We
we
don't,
feel
any
terrible.
low is gross. Oh, I still go through them too, but they're not as low as they used to. And they don't last as long as they used to.
Mm-mm. I noticed my children too. Like I have my son, he's 17 now. Sorry, he just turned 17 in June. Um, he apologized for the first time to me personally. Like, just he was talking kind of nasty to me, and he's like, "You know what, Mom? You haven't done that, and when you do, you apologize. I'm gonna learn from you. I'm gonna apologize right now, right here." And he held my hand and he apologized to me, and we both cried in the car, and we were driving down the road. And it was something simple, but it did hurt my feelings, and he could see it on my face because my feelings are all over my face. I cry. I show my emotions very, very loudly
Mhm.
in a sense. Like I will cry out loud and I will tell you, hey, you hurt me in a sense. We can talk about it now or we can talk about it later, but we're going to talk about it eventually because we're not going to hide our feelings anymore. When we lost my daughter and his sister, back in 2020,
Mhm.
and that's been a big eye opener for all of us. So we changed the way we lived. We pulled ourselves out of school. We don't go to school like we're supposed to. The job I got, I manifested. I asked that I could be myself while I'm at work. I could use my spirituality while I'm at work. And that, yes, I know I need to work a 9 to 5 right now because I'm not quite to working by myself yet and
Mhm.
running my own company. That I wanted to be able to be me 100% at work without having to hide it. And I
Mhm.
do that. I have that every day. I work third shift because I like the nighttime. I don't like daytime. I don't like being up during the day. It's hot during the day. I like out when the moon's out and the stars are out and I can manifest and I can talk to my spirit guides and I can meditate. And my job lets me do that. I'm a caregiver
Mhm.
naturally. Of course, I'm going to caregive. I'm going to,
Mhm.
be giving back to others, but I do it at homes that are in the country. So the settings are private. It's very unique. It's very one on one. And I love it. It's like my children love it because they can, Mom, hey, what's going on tonight? Can we FaceTime? Because I'm feeling lonely tonight. I'm missing Sissy, whatever, whatever. Hey, let's talk
Yeah.
to her, in the under the stars. And I watch it, and both my children change too. Yes, they are taking care of themselves. They're working. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. My son stays at home with me. He hasn't figured it out yet, but I'm not pushing him too hard. I'm letting him find out who he is first
Yeah.
because he was the one that hid it all inside. He didn't show his emotions when she died. It was, I'm fine. I'm the big man of the house. And, I
Mhm.
got this. And he started drinking too much. And I was like, dude, you're kind of young to be drinking. Like, and then he met Travis, the guy that came through, the man that passed
Mhm.
away. That changed his life because he's like, I can't be like that. He was an alcoholic, but he changed his life, Mom, because you loved him. Because he died ultimately because he quit drinking.
Yeah.
So when he quit drinking, it killed him. My son's seen that. So now he's seeing that. So now he's changing his life because of that whole little situation. We changed our whole life. We moved from a little tiny itty bitty town to Detroit and we didn't know nobody. We only knew him. And so we took a chance on love and he's seen
Mhm.
that. And now, so he's back here. Now we're in the country and he's like, Mom, I don't like being in the country, but you know what? I like being in the country. And I'm like, what do you say it like that? He's like, because I don't have all my people around me and da da da. He's like, but I'm 1-to-1 with God right now. And I didn't believe in him for a long time. So there's a change. And it's an amazing to see that, yes, our growth. And like right now, I'm down a little bit. I'm not feeling well. And it's more of, I got Lyme disease and I'm fighting that right now. And I won't let it stop me. And I can see that. And he sees that. And he said it the other day too. He says, Mom, you're not looking at it as this is going to beat me this time and it's going to bring me down and you're going to have to bury me and da 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 da. He's like, you're seeing it from a perspective of it's bringing you got that hope inside you still.
Yeah, you
He's like,
do.
as much as I'm watching you cry and you hurt and you moan in your sleep, and because I do, it hurts. It's not an easy thing right now that I'm going through. Like, it's not easy. I won't beg this on anybody, and I hope to God, this is a turning point for me again. But I can see that there's an outcome in it. There's always something that can come out better than what I've had to deal with before.
Yes, ma'am.
And I haven't ran to the drugs. I haven't ran to alcohol. That's been the hardest thing. I ain't gonna lie. I've fought those battles for many years
Yep.
but I will not run back to it. It's not where I want to go this time. And it's even harder to fight that on top of everything else.
But you're
But
doing
to see my
this.
but to see my son and see him, he can grab my hand and he can apologize right then and there because he knows that when we get home, it's not going to be said again. There's nothing to worry about after we get home because it's dropped.
Mhm.
We apologize, we take it for what it is, and we change our behavior.
Mhm.
So all those little changes that I've just seen since everything, and it's been about 4 years we've been on this journey. He doesn't go to public school. I don't go to a 9 to 5 like more normal people
Mhm.
would say that we go to 9 to 5s, but I make a good living for myself. And I love what I do. I love where I'm at right now. Even though I'm in a low, I still love where I'm at. I still love the atmosphere I'm in. I still love that, I got people around me. My coworkers are amazing.
And that
But I
is
want,
more than what most people can say, Crystal. And
yeah,
you aligned in that. You aligned with what made you happy.
it's been great.
That's powerful, Crystal. And I just wanted to say too, we were talking about how your throat chakra has been blocked and you've had a hard time with this. This is a huge piece for you.
Hmm.
Crystal, do you realize what you're doing right now?
Yeah, I'm speaking.
You are not only speaking it, but you're sharing it.
Yeah,
You decided to share it. And this is going to be one of the most profound moments that I really hope you feel for yourself in this. This is beautiful because you followed your intuition and you said, I really
I'm
feel this is terrifying, right?
terrified.
Terrifying. But
I'm
this is
sweating.
you. You decided to move past the fear and allow your voice to be heard and share your story.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. I think this is amazing. I'm inspired by you too, and I feel it. I felt it from the moment I'm connecting with your energy. You have something beautiful and special. It's letting down those other boundaries of afraid of being seen,
Yep.
and just gonna start diving in the deep end, and we're gonna have to play with it, and it's gonna be so scary. But I think that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing all this. And before I close this session, do you have any other questions that
Mm,
I can bring through or anything for you and about what
nope.
you're going through or
I appreciate what did come through is all what I
okay,
needed in this moment. And so
good.
I don't want to go deeper into it right now.
Okay.
You know, I feel like it's where I need and where I need. I'm sure there's going to be more questions later on down the road.
Yeah, always
No,
are.
but as of right now, I don't like to do too much at one time because I like to process it first. So there's just something I need to meditate on and, you know,
That's
cut
exactly
my,
why it happened the way it did.
yep.
And just so you know, like, and that's actually always it's one of my big rules. I guess you can call it rule. And none of my clients, I always make my clients, even if they want to follow up, you have to wait at least 30 days
Okay, good.
because
Yep. I got to
it
process.
takes time to process.
Yes, it
A
does.
lot of time.
Yeah. And I'm moving a
So,
little slower than I usually do. So,
and that's
you know,
okay.
yep.
And you give yourself some grace for that too, because
Yep.
we're allowed to have that
Thank you.
in these